Stone Cold Steve Austin, a mere mention of the rattlesnake, still generates a huge bap from WWE's biggest demographic, because it still reminds them of a time that they actually really liked the product that WWE puts out compared to what they do now. What about the Attitude Era and all that? Hence why we have 316 Day, a day where you are legally allowed to shave your head, drink beer whenever you want, and tell your boss to take his job and shove it whilst opening up a can of whoop-ass. Right, a bit of admin before we dive into this list. This is matches from Stone Cold Steve Austin as Stone Cold Steve Austin. Don't get me wrong, he had a great few matches in WCW, and who can forget when the ringmaster slid in to the 1996 Royal Rumble and then, well, slipped out of it. But we are sticking with just Stone Cold Steve Austin pay-per-view matches. With that in mind, I'm Adam Wilborn from What Culture, and this is every Stone Cold Steve Austin pay-per-view match ranked from worst to best. Number 66, The Undertaker. A tale of two company icons out of sorts and out of form in general. This match went on for 27 punishingly drab minutes until we got to a screwy finish. I mean, how do you get a bad match out of Stone Cold Steve Austin and The Undertaker? What's that? Oh, number 65 versus The Undertaker and Kane. A total turkey from the Rattlesnakes' white-hot 1998 one. This is one of the few that actually suffers from a glaring lack of interest from the audience. If only they knew what was to come. Number 64, The Undertaker. Austin's heel turn wasn't going swimmingly. Another boring, drab go-around with The Undertaker wasn't going to be the thing to change those fortunes either. And yet again, another 25 minutes. Who booked this? Bloody Triple H. Number 63, The Undertaker. Worked glacially and massively overbooked by the end, the match nonetheless had to take place under a cloud unlike anything in company history. Not great, but not their fault, this one. Number 62, The Big Boss Man. Hey look, it's not The Undertaker. Uneventful in the extreme until the Big Boss Man took the easy DQ loss. This is a bit like one of those magic eye pictures if you stand too close to them. Up close, it's a bit rubbish, and then you step back and you realise, oh, this forms part of one of the biggest and most beautiful pictures WWE ever made. Number 61, The Undertaker. You again? Alright, this isn't their worst match, but this was a grim tribute to a mid-level peak that already passed. Dull. Number 60, Ric Flair and The Big Show. The Rattlesnake couldn't be arsed, and The Big Show and Ric Flair wrestled as if they were on his side of the protest as well. He was gone within weeks of this. Number 59, The Undertaker. The Undertaker sent a UK crowd home happy, and by that I mean we were bottling the heels by the end of things, by defeating Stone Cold Steve Austin and his partner Triple H. But a lousy loophole meant that he didn't leave with the WWE Championship. Damn you, loopholes! Number 58, Owen Hart. Heated, but booked several months too soon, the task at hand was to just sort of get through it without reminding people that all Austin could really do right now was play the greatest hits. This was the hastily booked return rather than the satisfying payoff many was hoping for. Number 57, Mankind. This is a total turkey aside from Shane McMahon's exhilarating swerve turn, but it was all there to service as part of the Deadly Games story. So you know what? I'll allow it. Number 56, Scott Hall. At WrestleMania 18, The Rock got Hulk Hogan and Stone Cold Steve Austin got a Scott Hall that's, let's just say, less than his best, with Austin in no mood to emotionally accommodate for that. Drab mid-card fare, and that's being generous. Good stunners, though. Number 55, The Undertaker. You know, I'm sensing a sort of pattern here. Madison Square Garden and the awesome build-up just about got this one over the line after Austin legitimately got himself KO'd in a clash with the Dead Man earlier on in the bout. Rewatching this one back, I wish I had as well. Number 54, The Big Show. A very minor step up from the aforementioned match featuring Ric Flair. This was kind of fun house show fodder, it seemed, with run-ins and NWO silliness. But this, let's not forget, was on pay-per-view. When pay-per-view mattered. $9.99, kids. Number 53, Rikishi. I mean, it's not a match, really, this, is it? It's an attempted murder. So that's why he's where it is on this list. Thank God that police car showed up, eh? Otherwise, Stone Cold Steve Austin would still be in prison today for murdering someone on pay-per-view. Shall we move on? Number 52, Eric Bischoff. Overwhelmed by Jim Ross's very enthusiastic commentary. My God, he does a good job sometimes, doesn't he? This was a greatest hits night for Stone Cold Steve Austin, but there were still quite a few questions. Why isn't he in his trunks? Couldn't he have fought literally anyone else? And what exactly is going on here? You'd have to wait till WrestleMania to find out that. Number 51, The Undertaker. More bizarre boredom from these two, but this match was all about the stipulation. It was Austin's WWE Championship against The Undertaker, who was fighting for Mr. McMahon's career in a first blood match. Austin won, and that meant that we would never see Vince McMahon on TV again. Ever. Number 50, Chris Jericho. The second Austin Jericho match in 3 months badly lacks flow and drama. It's a match you sense that Austin booked and Jericho tried his best but just sort of had to go along with it. And it's a bloody slog again. Get on with it, lads! Number 49, Savio Vega. Steve Austin famously credits Savio Vega with getting his body in WWE shape, and the two would have matches that really showcased that. This was not one of them. A mediocre match on a lethargic WrestleMania card. Do not waste your time rewatching Steve Austin versus Savio Vega. Instead, watch Lou Bega's Mambo No. 5 music video, because it's more fun and it's an absolute banger. Number 48, Vince and Shane McMahon. Two non-workers and a magically elevating briefcase in a storyline that was never paid off. Need I say more? Number 47, the 2002 Royal Rumble. Let's see, there was the comedy spot with the Hurricane, which admittedly was pretty great. A load of early stunners, and he was basically then just there to hang around to be the biggest star that eventual winner Triple H could eliminate. This was a real reminder that the Rattlesnake is not someone who could be slowly phased down the card. Number 46, Triple H and The Undertaker. A blisteringly good UK-only main event served up one of the best Austin-Undertaker matches ever, and a great interaction between Austin and Triple H before the game could even conceivably call himself that name. You see, occasionally, WWE does treat its UK fans. Usually we have to sit up till 4 a.m. to watch your pay-per-views, but occasionally they do give us a treat, you gaslighting bastards. Number 45, Mark Mero. No, not the King of the Ring semi-final, more on that later, but just a drab match when both really needed it least. The crowd at In Your House 9 International Incident were hot for almost everything, except this. Number 44, The Undertaker, Kane and Mankind. Ooh, some red hot 1998 bullshit from the top company producing it at the time. This had all the bells and whistles of a Vinnie Jones appearance and the corporation trying and failing to steal Stone Cold Steve Austin's gold in front of a rabid London crowd. Number 43, Triple H and Mankind. Austin infamously didn't think this was the best night to take a pinfall loss from Triple H, and everything good about this match was thanks to special guest referee Jesse Ventura rather than the match itself. I promise I will start praising him soon. Number 42, Triple H. A hugely disappointing walk and brawl that ended in the hugely ridiculous attempted murder of Triple H. Will you stop trying to kill people on pay-per-view, Austin? Look, I know that the 2001 heel turn for him wasn't exactly the best decision, but this did seem to suggest there wasn't a great deal of juice left in a babyface run. Number 41, Jake Roberts. Only this low because of the length. Austin's decimation of a depleted and destroyed Jake Roberts informed the most important promo of his career and solidified the character that would allow him to smash WWE's glass ceiling. and sell a load of t-shirts as well. Number 40, The Undertaker and Kane. The two-man power trip winning all the belts added some much-needed intrigue into two lame duck post-WrestleMania storylines folded into one massive match. They had multiple matches over Raws, SmackDowns and pay-per-views, and this was the most okay. Good work, guys. Number 39, Kane. With the looming presence of the battered old Hell in a Cell, this one took a sort of weird and unique quality to it right up until its shocking conclusion. This was way better than it had any right to be, especially considering Austin's mounting injuries. Number 38, Chris Jericho and Chris Benoit. An uneven and lopsided triple threat saw heel champion Steve Austin at the mercy of two babyfaces who couldn't get the job done, basically. Also, hello Booker T. Number 37, Dude Love. Not a patch on the era-defining classic the two would have the following month. This match was more about establishing new WWE champion Stone Cold Steve Austin as someone who Vince McMahon would be more than happy to screw. It worked too, just at the expense of this match. Number 36, Mark Mero. Austin went hell for leather in this quality bout with Wildman Mark Mero. It was the contest that infamously split his lip, leading to a trip to the hospital, to which he'd only return to hear about Jake Roberts' promo, which inspired his iconic missive. Number 35, the 1999 Royal Rumble. Thanks to Vince Russo, entrants number 1 and 2, Austin and McMahon, were kind of written out for large points of this match, but when they did come together, their battles were superheated bookends that kicked off a wild ride on the road to WrestleMania. Number 34, The Rock. A smoke and mirror spectacle like little else before it, the first encounter between The Rock and Stone Cold was their shortest and silliest, featuring backdrops and stunners on pickup trucks. It was psychotically entertaining, but couldn't really live up to expectations. Number 33, The Alliance. Here we are at the halfway point. Things are looking, bollocks. Look, maybe my sort of overriding memories of the invasion muddy the waters a little bit here. This was an exhilarating multi-man spectacle, but in hindsight, it does seem to have the air of a top star trying to have their cake and eat it too. The sort of foreboding doom of the invasion storyline looms over this one a little bit too much for me. I even enjoyed it though. Number 32, The Undertaker. Look at this, you've cracked the top half, lads. Well done. Although, granted, their best match was due to the fact that this was more about Austin's fight with the Hart Foundation than his war with the dead man. Still though, well done. Number 31, Chris Jericho. I'm not sure if Chris Jericho's ever actually mentioned this night. Did you know that both men actually wrestled earlier on in the evening? Can't remember who it was that Chris Jericho beat before he beat Stone Cold Steve Austin to become undisputed world champion. No, name escapes me. I mean, let me know if you can remember in the comments section below. A bit unfair as well, because Austin had longer to recover after his match. But still, it took the whole world to beat the Rattlesnake, which really didn't help Chris Jericho in his stolen victory. And then there was all the issues with the pizza post-match. Google it. Number 30, Kane and Mankind. A perfect delaying tactic before the SummerSlam main event between Austin and The Undertaker. It was the old, can these two coexist as a tag team storyline? Don't you get me started, WWE. Number 29, Hunter Hearst Helmsley. A quality pay-per-view opener between two heels. This vintage battle between two famous rivals before their, series even began. This was a quiet triumph. Number 28, Owen Hart. I know when you and I think of this match, you immediately turn to this mental image of it, but there was an outstanding match before this devastating injury in this SummerSlam banger. But it is understandable when you think of Stone Cold Steve Austin versus Owen Hart. You think about the last minute of the match rather than the fantastic 15 that came before. Ouch. Number 27, the 1998 Royal Rumble. It's just impossible not to fire up watching the Rattlesnake do the same in the Rumble. His mounting injuries are obscured, and it's just all about setting up that clash with Shawn Michaels at WrestleMania and his industry-altering showdown with Mike Tyson 24 hours later. Number 26, Shawn Michaels. There is this epic feeling engulfing the whole thing here. Even Shawn Michaels' pain is legitimately tough to watch. The fact that they both get through it in one piece is the real success story here. But this is enough to make any wrestler want to go and sit at Gorilla and watch this match. Possibly with taped fists. Number 25, Triple H. The first sign that these two could and eventually would do something very special together indeed. Triple H's overdue victory does still come slightly cheap. The Rock accidentally clobbers Stone Cold Steve Austin with a sledgehammer, but this victory did much to make the game before his challenger's extended absence. Number 24, Kurt Angle. Don't get me wrong, really good this. Just not as good as their earlier bouts in the year. We'll get to them. Number 23, Kurt Angle, The Rock, and Rikishi. The year 2000, I think it's fair to say, was a rather good year to be a fan of the WWF. Just watch something like this frantic four-way fought in front of a frenetic crowd. It was just what the likes of the Austin-Rikishi feud needed towards the end of 2000. This was Austin looking great for the first time in ages. And remember when he tried to kill Rikishi? Have I mentioned that before? Number 22, Team WWF. A fantastic end to a, miserable angle. This should never have come down to Austin versus Rock in WCW versus WWF. But as a conclusion, it was definitive, and as a match, it ruled. It's just far better out of context than it ever was in. Number 21, Triple H, the New Age Outlaws, and Savio Vega. Alright, first off, bad news guys, we actually haven't got Shawn Michaels for this match, but how about Savio Vega instead? Not good enough? Okay, what if Stone Cold hits China with a stunner and lobs a bin at Billy Gunn? Yeah, that should guarantee monster pops in this devilishly entertaining brawl. Number 20, Kurt Angle and Rob Van Dam. It's a weird one this, but this unusual outing just ruled, didn't it? RVD's amazing popularity really helped the electric chemistry that had already been established between summer rivals Austin and Angle. It was a very of-the-moment pay-per-view main event, but my God is it worthy a rewatch. Number 19, Bret Hart. No, not that one just yet. Both worked this match hurt and it wasn't given a satisfying finish, but the energy in every exchange just obscured that. These two just go together so well. They go together like Bangers and Mash, like Michael Hamflett and Michael Sidgwick, or like What Culture and Baldies. Uh-oh. Number 18, The Rock. This is very Vince Russo-inspired WWF, but I have to admit, that isn't always bad. This is just a wild brawl. It's not a technical classic, but the crowd bites on every near fall and every end of the world twist. This is a match that, again, isn't technically perfect, but you cannot take your eyes off. I love it. Number 17, Kurt Angle. At long last providing the title-winning catharsis against his longtime rival Stone Cold Steve Austin for Kurt Angle, this also had lofty ambitions in an attempt to distract the audience away from the dreadful 9/11 terrorist attacks that had happened just weeks prior. It succeeded. This was both good and nice. You see, you can do it, WWE. Number 16, Vince McMahon. This delivered the old-fashioned shit-kicking Austin had wanted to give his boss for a year. It's got the iconic, the legendary McMahon bump off the cage. It's got the shocking debut of Paul White. Look, this is not a work rate classic, but this bad boy has got the lot. Number 15, The Rock. Something of a gem in amongst the diamonds of the Rock Austin collection. This actually bettered their WrestleMania match the month prior and needed less of the gaga, not that one, to do so. Number 14, Shawn Michaels. A wonderful sign of where the product was heading following the Rattlesnake's transcendent battles earlier with Bret Hart. This was a tremendously executed clinic that would be even higher on this list had they actually committed to a finish. Just beat one of them, for God's sake. Number 13, the 2001 Royal Rumble. Foreshadowing his WrestleMania heel turn, Austin's chair-assisted victory at the 2001 Royal Rumble was sort of a cute way to preserve Kane's aura as the Rattlesnake ended his awesome run in this match. This was also his hardest fought Rumble victory as well, with his long injuries and issues of recovery hanging over this entire match. Plus, if you don't see this and think of Limp Bizkit's My Way, I don't think you're a wrestling fan, mate. Number 12, The Rock. Hugely emotional when watched through the prism of Austin's physically draining weekend. This is a greatest hits collection from two guys at very different points in their lives and their careers. As far as in-ring send-offs go, this is earnestly one of the sweetest. Number 11, Kurt Angle, The Rock, The Undertaker, Triple H, and Rikishi. An awesome main event on a show that had nothing else that could possibly live up to it, if we're honest. The first ever 6-man Hell in a Cell match was all unrelenting action, chaos, and Rikishi falling onto some sawdust or something. I mean, Austin came closest to wrestling the title away from Kurt Angle, but the fortunate star retained his belt in the end. Bastard. Number 10, Savio Vega. A lost classic that Austin credits as the match that made Vince McMahon realize what he had in the Rattlesnake. This breathless strap match also ended the relationship between Stone Cold and the unnecessary mouthpiece that is Ted DiBiase. Thank God. Number 9, Bret Hart, The Undertaker, and Vader. Keep in mind, this was before WWE bastardized multi-man matches. This mini battle royal with pinfalls used a vacant championship as an excuse for 4 of the top stars in the company to beat the fuck out of each other in great grisly fashion. I approve. Number 8, Kurt Angle. This pulsating bloodbath found heel Stone Cold Steve Austin at the mercy of babyface Kurt Angle and using every goddamn trick in the book to escape the biggest party of the summer with his title. Plus, they made a cauldron of this venue. Go back and listen to that noise. You're going to want to turn the volume down just a little bit though. You don't want to hurt your ears. Number 7, the 1997 Royal Rumble. Making the most out of his Diesel booking, Austin was both riotously entertaining and viciously competitive. He tears through the competition early on, survives the arrival of late megastars, and then cruelly cheats Bret Hart out of legitimate victory. This is masterful booking. Mwah! Number 6, Triple H. You'll have to excuse me somewhat. I've just had to have a lie down after going nearly 45 minutes with this insane 3 stages of hell match. This was a conclusive ending to an insane rivalry. Thanks for all the stuff that you did, Rikishi. It does have this sort of end of the world encounter, and yet by the end, you don't really care who wins because you're as spent as both of these two. Woo! Number 5, the Hart Foundation. Steve Austin is at the heart, pun very much intended here, of everything in this match. Effortlessly transitioning his blood feud from Bret to Owen, attacking every Hart family member in sight, and flipping off the police and the crowd whilst in handcuffs to create this epic visual. This should be studied far more by those in the Performance Center. It is every bit as good as people say it is, and then some. Number 4, Bret Hart. A technical classic that gets so tasty by the end that running it back is essential rather than some sort of booking contrivance. There are fewer main stage WWE classics that feel as real, worthy, and grafted for as this one. Number 3, Dude Love. This over-the-edge classic established and celebrated a new euphoric norm for the WWF, never once betraying the key tenet of beating the absolute piss out of each other and any other goober that gets involved in the match. These two took this insane energy that was being thrown at them by the audience and threw it straight back at them. It was this climactic and often underrated still, in my opinion, explosion of a new era of WWE's attitude. Number 2, The Rock. Bringing down the curtain on wrestling's turn of the century boom, Stone Cold Steve Austin and The Rock's X7 epic was an artful and violent send-off to an era that very few had seen coming, and even fewer got to appreciate more than these two. This was a toast to a time period that we'd never see the like of again. It brought an end to the Attitude Era with two of the biggest stars this company ever created. What can top that? Well, I'll tell you. Number 1, Bret Hart at WrestleMania 13. It is entirely possible that the wrestling that you love, or some of you, let's say, loved, would not exist without Bret Hart and Stone Cold Steve Austin's contribution to the greatest matches ever catalogue. The elegantly performed double turn is quite simply perfect. It established Stone Cold Steve Austin as the dominant force he was about to become. He has basically just defeated the Iron Sheik in Madison Square Garden, except he has done it laying flat and blood-soaked on a canvas in Chicago. I will fight any person that says this is not Stone Cold's greatest match ever. And I'll have Michael Hamflett in my corner too, and we all know what he can do. Let me know your thoughts on this list in the comments section below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And subscribe to What Culture Wrestling on either iTunes, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts from, for daily wrestling podcasts, of course. Plus, you can let us know your thoughts on Twitter at WhatCultureWWE. You can find me at Adam Wilborn, and you can find the guy who wrote this excellent list at Michael Hamflett. Thanks for watching. I've been Adam from What Culture, and I'll see you soon.